Like there was some suspenseful action, but like
Yeah.
compared to the first season where we had a whole prison break and there was a lot of blasters getting shot and all that, there wasn't a lot. I don't know. I liked it. I still think it's better than the Acolyte.
That's a very low bar.
Yeah, I'm
You need carbs!
May thy knife chip and shatter. There is beauty in imperfections.
You're great. I am.
Are you watching closely?
I would prefer sideways or horizontal because that's the video shape, but if that's too much work, it's very low. But then it doesn't rotate you. That's weird.
What do you mean this one?
Automatically, you're sideways. Like it's not.
Yeah, it doesn't rotate you either.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can't do some adjustments. Dude, I'm sorry. I told you every single time.
You got a new computer. You got. You probably got new headphones at some point.
Yep. So there's always gonna be something. Oh no, that's wrong. So oh boy. So how do I okay. Un momento, por favor. We will get this working. Does that work better? No. How do I
Shoot.
just prop you up?
I mean, maybe by the Aragon episode in 2 years, maybe you'll get your tech figured out. That's the thing I keep coming back to because sometimes I'm wondering how long this whole hobby will actually
Yeah.
go. But then I'm like, Isaac and I are coming back in 2027 at least. So
Oh my gosh. And I at some point want to talk about motorsport movies
oh
because I just recently went out and watched the new F1 movie.
yes. Well, we just we talked briefly on it. The episode that came out yesterday, which shows how much we're recording in advance. Um,
Yeah.
uh, we talked about F1 because Josh was gonna go see it, and I was like, dude, you got to see it. Um,
It,
so
it's
it was fun.
it's I haven't gone to a theater to see a movie in a long time.
Hmm.
That's a movie I would go back and watch again.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
as
it was.
as anyway, I'll save it for if we ever end up recording that episode. But
Well, I was gonna say that you had a theme going there of like motorsports. I've heard Ford versus Ferrari is good. Gran Turismo was on the better side. No, you didn't like that one. Okay,
nope.
okay. I've wanted to see it just because it's video games and I like that stuff, but I don't know. You didn't like it.
Again, that's my personal like. It's
Okay.
not.
Well,
It's not good. Anyway, that
I'll throw it on our list, or not that one, but like motorsports. Oh man,
uh,
it's been
that
too long. Like, I wish we could. I wish I could host you on more episodes, and whenever
uh,
you're free to do so, let's do more. But,
well,
man,
do you really want to deal with all this technical stuff?
it's
All this.
worth it. Honestly, you're worth it.
Oh, is that what you told Ellie too? It's been a while, so.
It has. We're recording, by the way. We've been recording for 10 minutes now.
Oh, well, shoot. All right.
I'll use some of it. Some of it. It's funny. So I will admit I did not do my due diligence. I said that I was going to be listening to last year's episode before we record each year's state of the franchise, and I didn't. I didn't listen to our Star Wars from 2024, but we're going to roll with it because similar to as the listeners listening to this last week's episode, uh, it's it's basically going to be an Andor review plus like 10, 15 minutes of what we know currently in July of 2025 of Star Wars. And that's fine because that's really the only big thing. Like what happened last week was that Zach and I basically talked about the Superman movie for 50 minutes and then talked a bit about what we know about the future, which really hasn't changed. But now we're going to do it with Star Wars. Marvel's going to be a little different 2 weeks from now. But we slowly made our way through Andor, which I don't know if that
Oh
was
my,
you and I both did it separately. I don't know if that was us like really disliking their release schedule, which was 3 episodes for 4 weeks. Um, 3 episodes a week is crazy.
yeah.
And so you and I didn't feel any urgency to get it done, which was fine. And we did finish it, which is the reason we're here. And so I want to hear your initial thoughts on that. We'll walk through some of the episodes, some of the moments that we thought was good. What did you think of Andor season 2, especially compared to season 1? Now that we have the entire story as a whole.
I don't know. I
Oh,
feel it's weird. I think I liked season one the most.
mm-hmm.
Um, so for those, just kind of a brief overview, at least of the way that I watched it. Um, the reason why it took me forever, at least, is because me and my dad watch it together. And with his work and with my work, it's really, really hard for us to find time to sit down and watch like 3 hours worth of a show. Like, because that's how the episodes came out. Like you said, 3 episode chunks. No, they're not all an hour, but basically 3 hours. Anyway, so it was really hard for us to try to find that. And so it was like kind of not nip and tuck, but like just finding time here and there to watch it. But while we're watching it, we both kind of agreed it felt like a soap opera, like a
In a good way or a bad way.
kind of both. Like the pacing of it kind of just felt, I liked how it was like 1 year every time, but I felt like they could have done more with that personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, like, yeah, we're jumping ahead a year, but we're really focusing on like a 2 day span within that year.
Mm.
It just
You're
kind of
right.
felt like it felt almost like video game-ish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. Task here, task there.
Yeah, and but we get references to like, oh yeah, you did this job and that went wrong.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like a soap opera, like a middle of the day kind of drama. There wasn't a lot of action. Like there was some suspenseful action, but like
Yeah.
compared to the first season where we had a whole prison break and there was a lot of blasters get shot and all that, there wasn't a lot. I don't know. I liked it. I still think it's better than the Acolyte.
That's a very low bar.
Yeah, I'm aware. Um,
I forgot. Did you actually end up watching that?
yeah, I finished watching the
Okay.
Acolyte. It
Okay. I
was
didn't.
a show.
It was a show of all time.
Uh, I don't know about all time. It was,
The power of
I think,
one, the power of
calling it
two, the
a show
power of
is
many.
calling it a show is kind of generous.
Actually, is that part of our talk now, or did no? We did talk about that last time.
We did talk about that last time. Yes,
That's
we
right.
have ranted upon that.
Okay.
Um, but all in all, I mean, I think it was a good season. I liked like all shows. There are parts of it I like, parts of it I don't like. Um, I one thing I will say, I appreciate how they were willing to kill their characters off.
Mhm. Yeah.
I feel like that's a problem, especially that's Star Wars can kind of have, is just they come up with a character, like especially now that Disney owns them, they come up with a character that they really like and they just refuse to kill them off, even when like it would be hugely beneficial for the story. Like they were 100% willing to kill their characters off, and sometimes for like a nothing moment.
Which one are you thinking of in that when you're saying that?
Honestly, no. You see, here's where the names come into play. Who's the dude that was dating the chick? Cyril. There we go. Cyril. There we go. I got there
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Cyril.
yeah. You know him. Uh, like it
Go ahead.
wasn't a nothing moment, but like I can see a universe in which he just gets stunned instead of shot,
Hmm.
and the story will continue on that way. Like that was a really really good. Like it had power behind it, but it was also for like they were just having a fight. It
Yeah.
wasn't like he was running across like with a desperate message or something and just gets drilled. Like it was, they were having a fist fight, and
Hmm.
Cassian lost, and he was saved at the last moment by somebody who we never see again. So I don't know. There are parts of it I like, parts of it I don't like. I think overall
Mm,
I like the first season better, probably more for its action. But what were your
yeah,
thoughts?
definitely season one worked better. And I think it's one of those that will always have a special place in a lot of people's hearts for being like one of the first good things since Rogue One. The initial pitch for Rogue One, or sorry, for Andor was 5 seasons. And they were,
Hmm.
each of those 3 arcs was meant to be a season, and you really feel it in this season 2 because you felt like there was so much more that could have been done, felt rushed. Um, and I don't know if that was Kathleen Kennedy who pushed for that to just move faster, or if the director Tony Gilroy just said we got to just let's not prolong it more than we needed to. And maybe it could have been 3 seasons. I don't know. That could have been an interesting prospect to do like 6 episode arcs of 1 year each. But I do think that some of the standouts made it better than the standout moments in season 2 stand out more than the standout moments in season 1. I, I know the Prison Break is one of the Prison Break, the Eye. There's some amazing, or even the heist that goes into the Eye of Aldani. That was all amazing, top tier. But I think Mon Mothma's speech, I think episode 10 with um, Clea and Luthen hit really hard. I the one line that I think, oh, maybe I didn't text you, when they were younger, he says, "When I say move, we move
Yeah.
because we need to survive. We need, like, I know what's best." And that gives context to when the last time they see each other alive, when he looks at her with the most solemn expression and says, "Move." And this is like the last time they will see each other alive. They know what is going to be done now, and they also know that if one of them, like, I'm assuming that they'd plan that if Luthen actually dies, that she needs to make sure he's dead, and that's why that the last half of that episode was her breaking into the hospital and removing his life support. But that's just a touching moment to show what they meant to each other this whole time. And we got 20 episodes basically of just maybe coworkers, a little bit more than coworkers. And then episode 10 comes out of the woodwork and shows their father-daughter relationship that has grown over the years. You see Clea growing up. You see her mimicking him and how he acts in order to survive and make the right purchase, the right sell, knowing the business that he's in and making sure. And he's even telling, she's learning and he's teaching her, when they blow up the bridge, he says, "Don't look. This is part of like becoming numb to it. Like we're supposed to disappear. It's not us reacting. It's not us causing anything. We're just supposed to be NPCs in the background." And I think that episode was really good. I still think that season one as a whole, backing up a bit, season one as a whole is a better story, while season two probably has better moments in my mind. Yet I'll still go back and watch. If I were to pick one thing between the 2 seasons to watch, it would be One Way Out and probably The Eye or The Heist. But it's also been so long since those happened that I forgot about some of the characters that were there at the heist, and that they were still around. I need to look up a character list because their names are going to escape me. What are your thoughts? I've been yabbering.
Well, I agree with you. I am debating really hard in my head because like if I had to choose one arc to rewatch from Andor,
Mm.
it's a hard decision between the heist arc, so the whole Aldani arc,
Mm.
or the last arc of season two. Because
Yeah.
like those entire 3 episodes, like you say, are just top tier.
Really quick on that note, IMDb ranks episode titles or episode popularity and how people review them.
Hmm.
Andor, usually a top tier season is one that has 5 episodes back to back that have over 9.0. And Andor had the last 4 episodes being over 9.0. So it was really close to being in that category of like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, those episodes or those types of
Really?
seasons. It was just one episode off, and I think it was maybe like an 8.7 or something.
Or I'm looking at it right now, and it has 9.5 episodes over 9.
Then I might have been mistaken, and it was the newest part. Is it really? Let me. I kind of want to.
Yeah, it's episodes 8,
Oh, you're right.
9, 10, 11, and 12. And the average is going to be 9.5, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking at it now. I was wrong.
9.6,
Yeah,
something like
from
that.
the last 5 episodes of season 2 are over 9.4. The lowest is 11.
Yeah.
Episode 11 at 9.4. So those last few really hit hard, and I think that helped the season get a better. Obviously, if they're good episodes, they're good episodes. But people were like, maybe not in the first time, or the first 3 episodes dropped, and then it just kind of got way better after that.
Something I will say that I found really interesting is I've watched Star Wars Rebels, because that came out. I think that was a Disney XD exclusive, if memory
Oh
serves.
yeah, yeah. It
But it's on
wasn't
Disney Plus now.
for sure.
Uh, but I watched that, and they're spoilers. It's really cool, and I love how Tony Gilroy wrote this. Right,
I believe so.
this is a Gilroy production. There's a scene in Rebels. There's an arc where um, the, the the main characters that we follow have to rescue a VIP, basically, and the VIP ends up being Mon Mothma, and we hear a speech about a
Yes.
Gorman massacre, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like a chunk of the larger speech that we now know gives in Andor. And so it's really cool. Like when my dad and I were watching the episode, when Andor like got her to her ship and handed her off, I turned at him and I went, I know how this story ends. Like I know why he's not with her the entire time. It's cool to see how they worked that in. Like they were
Yeah.
willing to kind of show that, yeah, we recognize that we have these other projects, and here's a little nod to that.
It was one of the first times it actually felt intentional that everything's connected.
Yeah.
Throwing Ki-Adi-Mundi in the Acolyte is pretty low level effort to try and make everything connected. With how the last couple episodes finish with Mon Mothma's speech, even that appeared in Rebels, unless that's what you're talking about. But it was altered. People think that it's either, I mean, obviously Rebels was made like 10 years ago, and Andor is made now, and maybe they just didn't want the same script or didn't want to be confined.
Yeah.
But they're similar enough where it seems like they're the same, but the Empire changed up, like edited certain parts out. We don't know if that's the in-universe reason, but they're a little bit different. Anyways, those correlate. Obviously, the end is leading straight into Rogue One. There's just so much that feel like it's setting up an amazing movies that have already happened, with Rogue One coming out, what was it, 2015, and The New Hope coming out in 1977. Like it all kind of flows together. What Rogue One did to set up A New Hope 40 years later is what Andor did for Rogue One, which did for A New Hope, which I think is crazy. I've heard people say that in their mind, Andor is now mandatory viewing for watching through Star Wars. And
I agree.
I want to run something past you really quick, because we're talking about Star Wars. I don't remember who's. Oh, it's the Superman, David Cornsweet, who is a huge nerd. He says that the proper viewing for Star Wars is A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi. Because he treats the prequels as a flashback after the big reveal of 5, to have that story explained before Luke is like talking to Force Ghost Obi-Wan and saying, but I thought this, and he's like, well, from a certain point of view, into the climax of the end of the 6 movies. Now I bring that up because now, if in this theoretical David Cornsweet viewing of the movie, of the movies in the franchise. How would it feel to watch Andor season 1, season 2, Rogue One into the rest of the movies? Obviously, the most momentum would probably be Andor season 2, episode 10 through 12, through the end of A New Hope. That's your biggest momentum. It's basically all the same week.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, maybe if you're I know most people would start with A New Hope because that's the first one. That makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But if you're like going for that flashback style of viewing, what if you just watched it in that order? I think that would be an interesting concept, and maybe a test to do on someone.
That's interesting. I'm trying to think of it like with the view of somebody who knows very little when it comes to Star Wars.
Mhm.
And like the one of the things again that I think is great about Andor and that they've kind of continued in this second season is like the line between good and bad is muddied. We don't really have like we know because we've watched Star Wars before. We know the Empire is bad and the rebels are the good guys.
Mhm.
And I think unfortunately Star Wars has like pervaded into most of our culture, and now most people kind of understand that's the way it works. But like if you take somebody who doesn't know very much about Star Wars at all, and you put them into that, and they watch Andor into Rogue One, like I think they will still think that the Rebellion are the good guys, but I think they go into A New Hope and Empire with a definitely a different viewpoint of the universe, and they go into it with a view more of like they understand more of like a common soldier rather than
Mhm.
that of like the Jedi.
Mhm. So you think that the worldview of our real world affecting how Andor was written, which is good. It's not wrong to have written it that way, changes the way you watch something from the 70s because they had a more just heroic, good versus evil, Jedi versus Sith, Luke versus Darth Vader. I think, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the original three were very much like the hero's journey. Um, like it you can very clearly and like you can see the hero's journey in almost every single like honestly the hero's journey is a whole style of like genre basically.
Oh, I know.
But
Yes.
um but Andor feels a lot less like it as does Rogue One. It feels more
Mm.
nitty gritty. It feels like you've just been kind of plopped into a universe. And then we get to see like the hero's journey development. I don't know. I it's I, it'd be an interesting like if everything that I knew about Star Wars was deleted and you told me this is the order in which you should watch it, I'd be intrigued. I'd be
Yeah.
intrigued to see how that would end up.
Hmm. Okay. Well, we'll stop dealing with hypotheticals and return to an actual review. I looked up the writers. Uh, Tony Gilroy wrote the first 3 episodes of season 2.
Yeah.
Bo Willman wrote the second 3. Dan Gilroy, presumably brother, wrote 7 through 9, and Tom Bissell wrote 10 through 12. But I'm assuming that because they wrote them in chunks, it was well crafted by Tony Gilroy to make sure that everything um, flowed well.
Dan Gilroy. Let's see.
Dan Gilroy.
He had the two really good episodes. He had the two really good episodes at the end. What is Tony Gilroy is his brother. What did
He
he
wrote he wrote the heist scene from
Oh really?
Aldani. Yeah, yeah. So
Really?
he knows. Yes, he's got a lot of credit. Um, the first 6 episodes of season 1 were written by the Gilroys.
Interesting. Because I'm
Yeah.
looking at the stuff that he's worked on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recognize basically any of it other than like The Bourne Legacy and Real Steel.
He wrote Kong Skull Island, which people love and hate at the same time. Yeah, it's interesting.
Interesting.
Very
What was
interesting.
who wrote the final 3 episodes?
Of season 2,
Yes.
Tom Bissell. He wrote The Disaster Artist, which is the book about Tommy Wiseau, which then was adapted into a movie.
Okay.
But nothing crazy.
it looks like he's done a lot of video game stuff. Interesting.
For those
So
who care about video games and knows some of these, Batman Arkham Origins, again, not complete writing. It says additional writing on Wikipedia. So back to Batman Arkham Origins, Tales from the Borderlands, Uncharted 4, Gears of War 4, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, Gears 5. So a couple
he's the
bigger
lead
names.
writer for Gears 5.
Yeah, I don't recognize
I don't
that
know
at all.
about that either.
Xbox. Anyways, they did well. They did good job writing it.
It's yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's not like they're in-house, really well-known people that ended up writing the episodes. Like
Yeah,
5 out of the 6 episodes that those two wrote, everybody loved.
yeah,
And the one that wasn't one of the top ones was still like an 8 something.
yeah. 8-4, I think.
That's interesting. We're giving Star Wars is giving like more small time, not small, I shouldn't say small time because it seems like they still do a lot, but like not as well known within the Star Wars universe. They're giving
Yeah,
them an opportunity and they're crushing it.
for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. I want to talk more story here. The big one that I really want to get to is episode 3. There was a lot of backlash for episode 3 and the scene with Bix and Lieutenant Kroll.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts before I start pumping in what I've heard from online, what I think myself. What do you think of that scene being included in Star Wars?
I think it's valuable.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of how to phrase this so that I don't come across as I don't want to be rude,
no, I
basically.
get that. Yeah.
I think that it's such a sensitive topic. It's such a not even divisive issue. I don't think there's a lot of like split on it. It's a bad thing. I
Yeah.
think you could ask 100 people, and 99 or 100 of those people will tell you it's a bad thing. Um, and I appreciate the fact that they were willing to include that. I appreciate the fact that they were willing to um, show it. They were willing to show kind of the. They were willing to kind of put it out there that this is something that happens. They did it in a way that made sense within the story, and I appreciate the fact one that they had the good guy come out on that. That was, I think, huge for it. But they also were willing to address it and call it by name. And I feel like there's a lot of times where it's kind of just an issue that's skirted, it's handled off screen, or it's never really discussed after that. But I appreciate the fact that it was said out loud, it was addressed, and it thankfully, it didn't happen in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was valuable to actually put on screen.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Something that Andor has done is make the Empire scary again. Because for so long, it just feels like they're stormtroopers who can't aim and over the top cheesy villains. And sometimes maybe the cartoons have aided in that a little bit, not on purpose, but because they're cartoons. Not a lesser form of storytelling in it by any means. They're just been more popular, and that's possibly what has made it been like, hey, this maybe they're a little less serious. But Andor has brought back their ferocity to the forefront, obviously with the Gorman Massacre. Even just the opening episode of the series wasn't even the Empire. I know that's my theme right now, but the theme and the tone of the entire show is starting off from the very beginning, where Cassian enters a bar. It might have even been a brothel, to find his sister, and then immediately shoots 2 guards in the face. We saw that and we were like, whoa, this is different. And that's part of the charm of Andor, and that's part of what we like. It's not that we like the violence, it's that we understand that this world is very real. You're not going to have, this is not a movie where you get stabbed with a lightsaber and heal again. It's not a movie either. It's a TV show. You get what I mean?
Mhm.
It's going to be more strict with its rules. And it got the sexual assault, and I'm just going to say it instead of saying grape or essay or whatever, shows how bad it got a reaction out of everyone. Every single person who watched it was like, I don't know about that. And some people went to online and said Darth Vader would not condone that. And I'm like, everyone, somebody said that. And everyone's like, what do you mean? Like 2 years ago when Kenobi came out, he was walking down the street snapping people's necks with the Force. And he's going to say, sexual assault? Too far. He's evil. And yes, there's redemption in the end. And that's something we've talked about in previous episodes. But evil is evil. And it's supposed to be so different. There's something to be said for moral ambiguity for Andor, where Andor is dealing with this. He's dealing with being a part of the good guys. He's struggling with that mentality. Versus that's different though than just evil, which is what the Empire is supposed to be. Obviously, they're building a Death Star to blow up an entire planet. Which, on that note, I think is really funny that in 1976 or whenever they filmed or wrote Star Wars, George Lucas was like, "Oh yeah, Death Star," and then it turns into one of the best additions to the franchise ever. And it seemed a little silly when they were saying, "Say the name, Death Star." Anyways, yeah, the sexual assault was a lot, and it made you think, yeah, this is wrong. And it has solidified who the good guys are. I think that, as I'm saying, moral ambiguity and true morality are kind of separate. They're in my mind, they're actually coming together, because as the rebels, or the beginning formation of the rebels, are doing some morally questionable things with the ends in mind, when the ends justify the means, having a scene like this actually solidifies that they're the good guys because the other side is the bad guys. And it's just showing that divide in an extreme way that, yes, is traumatic for some people, and maybe they should have, or maybe they do have a content warning on that episode. But
I think they might.
oh no, I do remember. I think they do.
Yeah.
It's just one of those that shows the stark differences. Even though both sides are killing, both sides are plundering, and taking over land. It's Star Wars. This is just something that steps over a line that the rebels would never do, and that's just showing us, it's giving us contempt for those gray-suited admirals, the clone troop, or the stormtroopers, so on and so forth. That's my thesis on it.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where books, in my opinion, can be sometimes more valuable than movies when it comes to a franchise, just because get you're able to build a character a lot more with books, and you're able to build a lot more of the universe with them. And there have been multiple times that I can think of, in especially like the old canon, the EU, um, or Legends, where stuff like this is discussed, where it's like, the Empire conquered this village, and this person is fighting because he saw what happened after the fighting. We don't get that on the screen, and I don't think it's something that we need to have on the screen. Like, it's not, I'm not advocating for, like, yeah, show us more. I don't I don't think they should, but I do think, like, the fact that they were willing to put that in, they're willing to show that yes, this does happen. This is a part of the Empire. I think that's huge. Again, just because they're willing to address it and they're willing to bring it up.
Speaking of books, I heard that they retconned the Gorman massacre. You know a little bit more, so maybe you can correct me on some of it. I heard that they retconned the Gorman massacre because the original version of the Gorman massacre was um, Grand Moff Tarkin landing a ship on a crowd of people, and that is actually still implied to have happened, but it's kind of it said that it did happen, and that's why they have the statue in the middle to commemorate them. But then they also have a second one on screen, and I think that that's supposed to be the bigger one in the grand story of Star Wars. But I don't know. I think some people were trying to make sense of that. Maybe you know more about that or something. Have you heard of that?
I am looking at Wikipedia right now under their legends thing of this, and you got it right on. An
Nice.
Imperial warship commanded by Captain Willis Tarkin arrived on Gorman to collect taxes. Tarkin ordered his pilot to land on top of the protesters at the spaceport, killing and wounding a majority of the dissenters, numbering to the hundreds. Imperial troopers also intervened in the protests, killing or wounding hundreds more. Several members of the Republic group, a group of senators who sought to restore the values of the old Republic, were among the dead. Wow. I didn't realize that was. Where is that? I'm genuinely intrigued where that's from.
I think the reason it
What
made headlines was because it
book?
was a Legends book, but because it's already been declassified, not declassified, but like they've said, these
Decanonized.
books aren't. Yeah, they still wrote it in. It's not like because it's decanonized, you can't ever use those stories again. It just means they're not part of the canon. So they probably took the idea of the Gorman Massacre, kept the respect of that story, but said there's another one that we're building up to in this season as well.
It doesn't look like it. Okay, never mind. I'm getting too nerdy into this. Yeah, I'm nerding out too hard into this. Basically, it looks like it was compiled from a bunch of different sources, and it's not like explicitly listed in a book anywhere. Interesting, nonetheless. Um,
You can go down that rabbit hole later.
yeah, that's a fun rabbit hole to. I'm gonna keep that tab open so I can go back to it once we're done recording.
The whole Gorman thing, I think I felt the unimportance of it, where I was
Yeah,
like, this feels like a waste of time, but then it just became so much more. And I think that the you're not online like I am. People took I need his name. People took Krennic's deep unfoliated substrate calcite and kept reposting it. It's like, men only want one thing. It's deep unfoliated substrate calcite. It was really funny for a
that's
while.
awesome.
But it's correct me. It's kyber crystal, not the calcite, but they were basically they were getting kyber crystals from Gorman.
I
No,
don't think that's what they were after on Gorman.
so it was actually calcite. I'm a dummy. I was like, are they actually looking for kyber crystals for the Death Star laser?
No,
Because it's like the last thing they need before the Death Star is operational. But I might
they're
be a
getting
dummy.
those from Jeddah.
Oh, okay.
Calcite. Yeah, so calcite basically coated reactor length. Basically, it was like the let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Uh, kind of, it's a little bit more important. It sounds like than like unobtainium from,
Avatar.
but not by a lot.
Yeah.
Basically, so the official reasoning is a mineral useful in coating reactor lenses.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's still part of the laser,
You
but
know, it's like you're I can't even think of an example of what to do. Like
yeah.
I don't know what it actually does. Like
Well, they needed it.
legitimately.
They needed it, and that was the point.
Yeah, yep, just like unobtainium. It's necessary. I don't care how I get it.
It's a
I need it.
MacGyver or MacGuffin.
It's a MacGuffin.
I don't know. I feel like I should have felt more for the Gormans. I appreciated that they had their own language that was
Oh, yeah.
subtitled. It felt made the world feel lived in. I'm just thinking of all the arcs that we followed. I didn't really get Saw Gerrera's arc with Will,
Yeah.
Except to explain like he needed why he had his gas in Rogue One. I felt like that was a little unimportant, and you could have developed Will in a different type of story.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you feel that?
So Dad let Uncle take, his son out, to teach him how to do stuff, and the weird uncle gets the son hooked on space
Yes.
sharpies. He's huffing something, space paint thinner, something like that. And then
Yeah.
son comes back and we pretend like nothing has ever happened and it has no impact whatsoever on the entire rest of the it was a plot point that never came back ever again, and I don't understand it.
I mean, it kind of came back when they were setting up Rogue One, but they were like, "Oh, Saw's being a baby right now. He's not telling us where he is," or something like that. But I feel like that wasn't as direct of a connection as the rest. I don't know.
Even so, I'd argue we don't need that because we kind of just figured that, we're given the explanation that he's a crazy dude.
Yeah.
He's paranoid. Like, I didn't think we needed to know that he's, huffing gas and anyway.
Yeah, I hear you. It's weird. Okay, what happened? What else happened? The Vel and Cinta. Remember the Vel and Cinta situation?
Yeah.
That was
I think so.
That was frustrating. I just skipped that scene. I don't know that it even added anything except a little bit more emotion, which wasn't a lot because lesbian kiss, but all that. I skipped that scene, which went on for far too long, and then she died because of a stray blaster shot.
Wow. Easy.
Stray blaster shot that kills her dead on the spot. And yeah, I don't know. I can understand Vel yelling at the kid. She's like, "Look at me, you did this." I felt emotion there. But I think Ellie and I, after that episode, we were like, I would have had the exact same emotion if they were sisters or besties. It did not need to be a lesbian relationship. Come after me. That's my belief. I think that they could have been besties or sisters, which maybe not sisters. I don't know.
Well,
I don't remember what their story was from season one.
Arguably, they were besties. From a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view. Fair. Yeah, that's the most I thought of that. I felt emotion in her loss of a friend, but anything more than that, I was like, that's why it was a 9.5 instead of higher. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you, listener or watcher, for listening or watching. Follow us on our Discord and share your thoughts on Andor and what you think Star Wars is even at this point. Make sure to follow us on social media. Share this with a friend. And until next week, know that you're loved. God bless.
You did that in one breath. I'm impressed.
Oh, wow. You don't have a catchphrase. Sorry. You don't have to.
Boom. Pow.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, this is supposed to be a Christian podcast. I was gonna say something like, "I need a drink now," but